Yay, very exciting. Hey, friends, if you're joining live, yay. If you're catching this as recording, double yay. If you're catching a replay, triple yay. We're here to move our bodies, to get into this healing vibe. Movement, so key, so important. And we're in the summertime energy, the summertime expansion is the theme of our season, which of course means we're doing lots of yin things. Laying, lounging, resting, relaxing, because we got to manage this expansion, right? We just passed the new moon portal. Mercury just went retrograde. There's all sorts of stuff happening. The world seems to be a flame, right? And so I just feel like when heated energy is up, we want to have clarity, right? We want to have that clear view, calm mind, clear assessment. And for us, it's really about getting into this body listening. That's why we also, another reason why we do movement practice. We have to do body things to cultivate body listening. So yay, first thing we're gonna do, haha, lay down. Yes, that's doing. It's very productive, in fact. So here we are, connecting to land, just feeling into, where we are. I'm adjusting back into the land of the Great Lakes, Sauk Fox and Potawatomi peoples, hanging out with some oldie and goodie ancestor friends. This is the place where I was born. This is the place where I grew up. And our birthplace is always a significant place, though this is not an easy place for me. It's not a place of mental ease. So every time I leave, I get perspective. And every time I come back, I get another opportunity to figure it out, right? To get even a little bit more savvy with it. So I wonder how something similar shows up for you, right? The places that nurture us, the lands where we feel truly like, ooh, my body loves this land, this climate, this season. And just while I'm on this thought bubble, I try not to thought bubble in this class. I try to just focus on movement. But I think this is a really significant thought bubble because this is a really complex thing about living in the globalized era. We have all the choices. And the more privilege we possess, I know I possess a lot of privilege, we can make choices, right? Oh, I want to be in a place. I don't want to be in a place. I like this place. I don't like this place. I want to explore. I just want to, expand my horizons, have a period of sort of freedom, right? And those freedoms can very easily bite us right in the bum there, increasing confusion, right? Too many choices. So we ask ourselves, where's the midpoint? Maybe we can explore that in our practice today. Where's the midpoint of every single thing we do? So right now, where's the midpoint? If I stretch my legs, oh, that kind of feels good for a second. But there's this thing over here in the right glute that's not as relaxed. Oh, dear God, as if I bend my knees. Ooh, that's feeling midpoint. It's not pulling, but I could move my feet a little wider, let the knees come together and just rest into that. Finding midpoints. Let the breath expand and contract. Let the belly float and flutter with each breath. Can you feel the midpoint of the breath? What's the first intuitive movement that comes to mind for you? Is it a twist? Is it pelvic tilting? Just let something start to flow before I give any suggestions of what we could do. My first inclination was just a little tiny twist from side to side, like not even just kind of letting my knees fall to the midline. What's the first spontaneous movement that arises for you? And now switch that up. If your movement had some sort of rotation or twist to it, although I feel like I could just do this for like 5 minutes straight, just this little thing here. Now, if your thing involved a twist or a rotation, now do pelvic tilting. And if your thing involved pelvic tilting, now do something that had a little twist to it. Gentle exploration of the limits, right? Okay, tucking under. But when I tilt, ooh, that has some kind of hard limit to it. Just noticing, observing. Add little wiggles here and there. And little wiggles help get some fluid moving in fluid filled spaces. Can little wiggles help attachment sites release? Wherever you are, take a big stretch of the arms overhead. Nice big stretch there. And start adding that little just knee towards the midline. Your stomach channel stretch here, top of the thighs. Spice of life, joie de vivre. And let's turn this into a bigger zigzag twist. Feet are wide, arms are out to the side, and turn the head in the opposite direction. Inhaling and exhaling. One more time to each side. Could be an invitation to connect with the breath, inhaling in the center and exhale as you twist. Back to the center. Draw the knees in towards the chest. Give the legs a hug. Let this little mini rocking emerge. And then let's take this around circles. Let the knees come away. Let the knees draw in towards the chest. Let's go opposite direction. Relax the jaw. Let the knees float a little wider and turn that into figure eights. A little release for posterior sacrum. And everything that's nearby, including kidneys, but also inside the hip socket. Let's switch direction. I got a little creaky board under me. And we're here in the center and we're just enjoying this movement right and left. Alternate from side to side. Just come into this kind of little tight ball, offering up an opening through the flanks. All right. I'm turning it into a little twist. Ah, oh, that's getting somewhere. And the other side. All right. And back to center. Might wiggle yourself back to the top of the mat. Go ahead, stretch both legs. And we're going to draw right leg in. That could just be knee bent. Clasp top of thigh or top of shin or behind the back of the thigh. We're just going to hang out here. Flexing both feet gives us some activation on the backs of the legs. Whole back body. So that's going to get us into kidney and bladder channels. Stretching that leg 45 degrees or onto the floor and releasing. Left leg. Flex both feet. Big breath in. Slowly releasing. Have a big stretch through the body. Arms overhead. Legs in the opposite direction. Just feel, where's the midpoint right there? Like for me, it's the Ming Men. It's that space right between the kidneys. Center of the body is the meeting place of yin and yang in the body. The yin substance pooled. This is actually, if you were standing, this is anatomical position in East Asian view. Just kind of conceptualize this for a second. The yin energy is pooled in the lower abdomen and the whole rest of the legs and feet, right? But there's this just swirly pool of silvery, dark energy, like dark in a good way. And yang energy comes down from the heavens. So imagine that you're standing. Yang energy comes down from the heavens and it flows through the top of the head and through the arms and into the whole trunk of the body, that orangey red fiery energy, and it meets yin, and yin is what holds yang in the place called the Ming Men, the space right between the two kidneys. Your center of gravity, the midpoint of your body. Now, if you like, go ahead and bring the arms back down and just breathe into. Think your navel, a couple of finger widths below that, 2 finger widths below that. Feel where that space is. And now imagine that space right in the center of the body. That is where yin and yang are meeting. And if it feels good to have the legs extended, or if you need to bend the knees, that's all okay, but just breathe into that place. Subsequently, breathe into the kidneys, give them life. They're just below the base of the last rib. Breathe into them, fluff them, love them. From here, bend the knees, draw the knees in towards the chest, give the leg nice few squeeze it towards the chest. And then bring the feet in line with the hips for Sapta Bandhasana, bridge pose. Inhale, lifting hips towards ceiling. Try to keep the knees in line with the hips. Exhale all the way down to the floor. Now we're just flowing through. Inhale as you lift. One more. Zigzag twist it out. Turning the head in the opposite direction. Give the spine that rotational therapeutic movement. Coming back to the center, figure 4. Bring the right foot above the left knee. Let that knee rotate to the side. It's the first kind of hip external rotation that we're doing. So that might have a little something to say. Lifting that leg. Bring hands from the inside, holding, breathing. Could also be used with a strap. Big breath in. Exhale, releasing. Switching sides. Left leg, let that knee float to the outside. I'm just giving it a little opportunity to do something other than those hip flexors holding on for dear life. And then I'm ready. Just not even clasping around, just grabbing the thigh, holding here. Next, we can also switch in the air. Back to the first side. And switch in the air. Over to the opposite side. Nice breath in. Releasing. Again, stretching both legs. Get those windshield wipers, stretch the arms overhead. We're gonna do one more little rotation here that gives a little traction for the hip. So similar figure four position. Breathe in, exhale, let the knee drop to the outside. And let the position of the foot give a little traction to the front of the hip. If you like, you could turn the head in the opposite direction. Bring it on back. And switch sides. Inhale. Exhale. It's really just about finding the right moment for you to let that traction happen. Where we're just decompressing the hip. Go back to the first side. Not really about how much we do in our practice. About giving the body the right input. I know for me, just simply stretching doesn't work anymore. Like it actually makes my body experience a great amount of discomfort. I need all these like wiggly moves, range of motion. We're switching again. Nice work here. One more time, zigzag twist. Kind of like reset. And from here, we are going to move on to the belly. Let's do some active extension poses from there. So think of flexion is when we're rolled into a little ball, right? Extension is when we lengthen and have that gentle back bend. Let's make our way onto the belly. I know my favorite resting poses are from here, but I thought we'd do a little work. Starting with baby cobra. Easing the belly into the floor. Lifting with the upper back muscles. Roll shoulders. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Gaze it forward. Gaze it a little bit forward. Gaze it down. It all depends on what your neck would enjoy. Breathe into those kidneys. Exhaling down, take a resting breath with the forehead on the floor. Again, belly into the floor, lifting. Roll the shoulders, squeeze the shoulder blades together, anti-computer posture. All the way back down. On those breaths in between, it's encouraging lengthening through each of the vertebrae, right? There's compression here. Those vertebrae in the lumbar right now are squeezing. When we come all the way back down, everybody's just lengthening. So let that happen from the tailbone to the crown of the head. Enjoy that spaciousness. Inhale. Shoulders roll and squeeze together. And we make our way back down. Lengthen. Take as many of these resting breaths as needed. Inhale. Last one here. Maybe bringing it into a sphinx. A little bit deeper back bend. Breathing in. All the way down. Stretch both arms forward and lengthen the spine. Adva Asana. Reversed corpse pose. Just like we did laying on the back with the arms overhead. Find the Ming Men here. Find the center point between the kidney. Yin and Yang are meeting in the midpoint of the body. You may find that the spine lengthens so much that you need to adjust the forehead. Gently moving hands in line with the shoulders. This is half locust, lifting right arm and left leg, and down, left arm and right leg, and down, opposite sides. Inhale and lift. Head could be slightly off the floor, gazing down. No need to strain the neck. Last one here. Back to Adva Asana. Breathing into the midpoint of the body. Hands by the side of the chest, using hands, using elbows, whatever you can to push yourself up and back into child's pose. And take your time. Sometimes I like to just kind of let my SI joint have a second to come into child's pose. You can play around, widening the knees. Bring that awareness into the low back. What kind of little micro movements from here might be helpful to continue to talk to the places that are holding the tight places. SI joint in particular, very dynamic joint. Just here in the low back. Could even give it a little pound. Any other places in here? Give a little pound. I'm in the real meaty part of the glutes pounding. And slowly coming up into a seated position. And let's keep this movement happening through the hips, coming onto hands and knees, fingers spread wide, looking a little bit forward so the spine is straight. And let's take this circle side to side. Now switch. First direction. And switch. A little child's pose. Some circular movements through the shoulders in child's pose. Let's get under the scapula. Coming into diamond pose, Vajradasana or Seiza, and we're just moving through upper thoracic spine. Inhaling, exhaling. Let the hands slide along the thighs. Bringing this into a low lunge. Your right knee's down, left on the floor. Does this knee, would it benefit from some increased padding? Little pelvic tilting just to explore. So we're in that damp heat part of summer, so we want to really support spleen, stomach channels for that dampness. So we're here, let's do stomach channel stretch, whatever knee is down, that arm comes up, and we breathe. Breathe into the whole front part of the body. Let's try that on the opposite side. Don't hesitate to do padding. First, we did a little pelvic tilting. Exploring. Now we're coming into earth face stretch. Breathe into this front fascia of the body. Nice, breathe in, exhale, down a little bit deeper earth face stretch from Supta Vajradasana or reclined diamond pose. Widen the feet, walk the hands back, stretch through the front part of the body. Child's pose for a counter pose. We did this as a meditative pose in the Shaolin Kung Fu training at the ashram there in Marrakesh. And we would hold this for 20 minutes. It was really difficult. Slowly coming up. And we are going to come into seated position. We've got our meditation week coming up. So let's work it through a few of those movements, cultivating our meditative posture. My pillow's not really giving me much. Stretch both legs. Flex and point. Circles. The heat broke where I am. Super hot, humid isn't really my thing. Unless we're in the tropics. Unless we're at the beach. Circles in the opposite direction. Like jungly with jaguars and snakes and stuff. Make space between the feet, circles in opposite. Oh, that feels nice. We're on the switch. Give it some windshield wiper. And some wiggles. Knee pull-ups. Squeeze the quadricep muscles and pull the kneecaps up and down. Wiggles even faster. Feel into the knees. Talk to them. My left knee is happier than the right one. Wiggles. Coming up towards the hips. So seated meditative pose, like without being too technical. What does it require, right? It requires this external rotation of the hip. Okay, so all the glute anatomy, some things to do with the adductors as well, and hip flexors. Everything has to be copacetic. We also need an ability for the hips to tilt forward, which is going to have something to do with the hip flexors, hamstring, external rotators, right? So in my life, when I lived in India, and all we did was sit on the floor all day long every day, this was very comfortable. And then I came back to the West and I sat in chairs all day. And then I got a job where I just sat and taught in a chair all day. And basically, this went away. Like the ability to just sit comfortably in this compound movement. It's got external rotation of the hips and also some flexion of what? I got to think about which anatomy, right? But hips are tilting forward, and rotating externally at the same time. So that's why when we do this movement where we pick up a leg, could hold from the outside, could hold from the inside, we're beautifully rotated externally here. Really getting into the feeling, like deep in the folds. And then we're adding that rotating type movement, which is going to lubricate, release, nourish. Let's try both directions. Try both directions. And then try right and left movement. You just see like, well, it's talking to you. So this has been my very cranky hip. Been very cranky for months. Now we're just holding. Now, to come into more complex, okay, we got like rotation of the hip, extra for the knee and ankle. That's moving into the lotus pose range. So if we bring that foot on top of the thigh and we start drawing that foot towards the crease of the thigh, and then get that hips tilted forward so the knee moves down towards the floor, this is a unique range of motion that has to open up in order for lotus poses and such, but honestly, any seated meditative pose. So like that involves rotation. Like so work it out, get into some of those wiggles. Hey, I'm pretty picked up off the ground. So what does it look like to really have both hips fixed on the floor? So it's this culprit right here. I think that's some of the quad attachment. Holding. Oh, that's about all the torture I can take. Real easy. And we want to give some of those therapeutic wiggles in between. Knee pull-ups. Some ankle circles if that's needed. Just breathing, investigating. And let's see what's happening on the other side. We want to have some kind of external rotation and circular motion in the hip. In the opposite direction. Maybe returning, circle, switching again. Cradling and rocking. We're still externally rotated. And hopefully loosening something. Holding in the center. Nice breath in. Exhale. So we're playing with that half lotus positioning. We want both hips on the floor. And we're using some little range of motion to just nourish, lubricate. Also purify. This is the Sukshma Viyama joint purification practices. This purifies the whole body. Holding. Releasing. Wiggling. Windshield wipers. Knee pull-ups. Baddha Konasana butterfly pose. There's so much that we could do from here. So starting with pelvic tilts. Hips tilt forward, tailbone tucks under, helping us investigate a little. Make some space. Nourish at those attachment sites. Circle. Circle. Opposite direction, circles. Go back in the first direction, circle. Relax the jaw. Check in with the jaw. Opposite direction, circle. Nice. A forward fold of some sort. So I mean, then there's also like back in the day gym class stuff like this. Personally, I don't care for this one. This wiggle doesn't feel good when I do the good old gym class stretch. What kind of forward fold could we take? Do we want the feet even farther outwards because that gave you more space? And it's just a little. Do we want the feet closer in? We clasp around the toes. And there's that little forward fold. We're doing fire face stretch. Palms turn inward and we stretch from the elbows. Breathe into the fascia and the underarm. Bringing hands behind you and widening the feet. And this is opposite. Knees towards the midline. This is internal rotation of the hip. So we're just trying to get all around this hip. Every little aspect that we can. And let's turn this into external rotation of the hip, range of motion movement. So we're just coming like we're doing a pigeon pose, and then floating on over to the opposite side. This is external rotation. One more to each side. I'm just holding on that tight hip. We're coming back to center. Legs fold into Sukhasana, easy pose. Let's see, is it any easier? Right? So the trajectory is that there's opening that happens through the hip flexors and adductors that allows the knees to come down towards the floor. Let's take a twist. Seated twist, backhand pushes the chest forward. Oh, I found a block in the house. Okay, so let's say that hand didn't comfortably reach the floor. You put your hand on a block. Nice breath in. Inhale. Let the knees float towards the floor. For some of us, it's a range of motion that just comes naturally. For some of us, absolutely not. Go back to the first side, inhale. Next, inhale. Coming into a wide leg stance. Turning towards the right leg, doing a little stretch forward. Inhaling up. Exhale. Go back to the first side, inhale. Exhale. So this is more fascia of the back part of the body, hamstrings. Switching sides. Let's bring this into the center. We're officially in that wood face stretch. Yin, wood face, liver. Let's take 5 slow, deep, good breaths here. We want to be helping that liver out. Next, inhale, we're coming up, gallbladder stretch, side bend, inhale in the center, exhale. One arm on top or just to the inside. Breathe into this whole outer side lateral body. We're going to go to each side a couple times. Inhale in the center, exhale. Use that elbow to help rotate the chest towards the ceiling. And let's go back to the first side and hold for 3 breaths. Or maybe more. Inhale up. Exhale, opposite side. Inhale, both arms up. All the way down. Don't break anything, Yoli. Eagle, eagle, stretch. One more time to the middle. Coming all the way back up. We're going to finish with one more twist. Mauritiasana 1. Bring right leg across. Wrap with opposite arm. And inhale. Exhale. Left leg. Right arm. This has felt like a really nice balancing practice today. I'm excited to have shared it with you all. Stretch both legs. And let's see, how's that seated meditative pose feeling? A little more open, a little more comfortable. Friends, thank you for the opportunity to share a practice with you today. Keep focused. There's a lot going on. Let's stay in that clarity and purification zone. Shiva's on our side. Accessing this internal alchemy, transformation, healing. Let's go. Let's do it together. So thank you. I'm going to catch you soon. Ciao, ciao.